Next up is World 4. World 4 is a little bit more complicated than World 3. World 3 is kind of nice and straightforward. World 4 gets things a little bit more wild. The good news is 4-1 is not too bad. It's another one of those run and jump levels. So here I'm just doing a specific pattern of jumps, like I've got my cues for this, and everything works out fine. The trickiest jump is just this one right here. This is the jump where if you're going at full speed, you're going to end up cutting this a little bit closely. And there's multiple ways of doing this. Mine is probably a little bit riskier just because I always end up with risky dumb strats because the way I route things, but this is the main jump to look out for. So we'll go through it once and I'll go through slowly explaining where my jump locations are and sort of how I treat them. But there we go, that's the whole level, nothing too wild. So let's go through it one more time. The first jump cue for me is that last block of this hill, and that will land me on these platforms, so do a full jump here. Then I run off of those blocks to land on this one, and I'll jump when I'm in the middle of this sort of blue edge here. So there's the next jump. I believe I run off of this one as well, and then jump when I'm in the middle of the white edge this time. That will always land me on this block. You definitely want to, no matter what your route is, land on this block. You do need to land on this block to make it over this stack of Goombas, so you can do whatever you want for the beginning of this level, but make sure whatever you do lands you on this particular block. Doing a full jump from there lands over them pretty cleanly. Here's where I do probably riskier things. I wait until Mario's toe is over the edge of this cliff before doing a full jump to land on this blue platform. If you're landing on this blue platform, you want to land on the left edge of it in order to give yourself enough time to make the Koopa jump, but you can just jump over this gap safely and then just sort of jump up these platforms more normally. From there, I'm actually doing a partial jump to land as closely as possible to this edge. So I'm jumping from the left half of this blue onto this blue one, but I want to make that jump cutting it closely. So if you look, Mario does not make it very high. So like a lot of these earlier jumps, Mario's making it pretty high above the platform. That one, Mario barely clears the edge of that platform in order to make it in time. And that's because, once again, I want to be as far to the left as possible when I have my ability to jump over these Koopas. So that's my setup for this one. From there I can do a full jump, full jump, full jump. It's pretty clean to get this section, and you can kind of, once you're past that Koopa section, everything kind of works out. So I'll do a full jump from this block, a full jump from the side of this pipe, and then you can actually do a full jump from this block as well. Or I do two partial ones. I jump from this block to here, this block to here, and then you can just sort of run the level out. That's it. That's the only thing you need to worry about. The good news is, I'll switch to demoing for this one. Let's bring my 3DS back. The good news is you can play things a little bit safer on that. So like for those Koopas, you can just slow down, and I'll do that in like races and everything. Well, let's just play through this one since it's pretty short. Hi, Metals. Fingers are on screen. Just double checking that you guys can see the actual inputs. I put the work into setting it up, but I keep missing it. So again, here's just all the different blocks I jump from. But you can do whatever. So if I miss this, you just sort of go slower and you're good to go. The main thing is then just freestyling this ending so that you can have whatever you need to, right? Like there's just not too much to this level as long as you get past that Koopa stack. I don't know if I can actually go backwards and show it again. If not, that's okay. There we go. Let's go back over here. So really, no matter what you do on this, if you're feeling anxious about it, just slow down there and then take this route where you just sort of jump around. And if you slow down, it's okay. As long as you make it past that stack of Goombas, you're still making it to the end of the level. So nothing too wild there. Thankfully, 4-1 is again one of those levels that I'd highly recommend you start with if you're just learning this game, because it does give you a lot of room for error, which is nice. Okay, 4-2. Oh, this is our cape one. Okay, flying mechanics are going to be fun. One of the things that you'll notice that I do here is I immediately start running and I jump without slowing down. But this is again an IL strat. Similar to 2-4 and how the P-switch was random there, when this feather comes out of this pipe is also random. So when I do when I do any percent, and I will demo this one quite a bit, you do need to wait for a second a lot of times for this feather to fall out. If you're doing the IL, you do have to grind until you get the luck and you can get it on your first jump. That's the first thing to call out. The rest of this level is pretty straightforward. You want to be flying. So flying works with Mario sort of pumping his cape. This first section, you want him to fly upwards, so you'll notice I'm gaining height, and that's because you want to clear this pipe here. Your goal with this is just to cut the corners of these pipes as closely as possible. Like, that's really the optimization. I also usually take off flying before the coins tell me to, because I'm cool like that. But the second section of this level, you don't need to gain any height, you just sort of need to stay even. As long as you're a little bit above these coins, you'll still be good to go. And when you're twirling down, so when you twirl, that's how you fall and stop flying. The nice thing is there is a Koopa here, you can twirl and take it out as you're falling past the corner of this pipe. So if you twirl, you usually hit it and you don't have a problem there. If you do miss it though, there is another feather that will come out of this pipe. So if you do take damage on that Koopa and fall down, don't restart the level, just go through the pipe as normal and you'll be able to get an extra bonus feather from this side of the screen. Or you can actually completely skip getting the feather and run to the right. So that won't show up here where I will take the upper route. And actually, to go back real quick, you can see that there's a coin trail what Nintendo wants you to jump from. The intended way to beat this is to run backwards and run forward to get enough momentum to jump off from this block, but that's slow, and so as speedrunners we don't do that. We actually jump from further to the right. So we'll jump, and you want to jump low to land on this as soon as possible to start building up that speed, and then jump kind of late, but before you fall off the edge. So you'll notice that jump right there. Let's take this one slow real quick, just because YouTube doesn't like it when I do things fast. Like, you can see how close this jump is going to be. I barely make it over that ledge. Like, there's only a couple pixels that I rose above it. And that's because I want to land over here so that I have enough time to build up that running speed and get to this takeoff location. You'll notice even with that small jump, I barely made it in time. You know when Mario's ready to fly, by the way, because he puts his hands out. There we go. Once Mario's in this like T-pose, that's how you know he's ready to take off from the ground. So if you're looking for that cue on when can I start flying, here it is. Once you've done it for a while, you'll start to just get a feel for when Mario's going to be ready to take off, and you just sort of hit A when you think it's going to happen. Cool, back to full speed. We don't need to see T-posing Mario anymore. The trick though is that you'll notice that we're behind the coin trail for this first part of the level, and so you do need to cut these corners a little bit closer. The other thing that I'll call out, you want to go underneath both of these pipes, twirl down, and then you'll hit the top of this ending, you get the 1-up. If you are slow, you will not quite make this, and there's actually a complete alternate bottom section to this. If you mess any of this last third of the level up, just take the bottom route, it's going to be faster. The one other thing I do want to call out though, oh, that's slow. And I'll do this part in slow-mo just to talk about the swooping mechanics. So Mario, the way that he works with the cape is that he's sort of constantly swooping, like whoosh, whoosh. But only when he hits a certain point can you pull back and bring him back up. Before then, he'll sort of lose height, he won't do the full swoop. So earlier in the level, we were just sort of floating, but here is where we're actually going to go into a full dive. So you'll notice Mario's continually angling more and more downward. Only at this point, this is the animation you need, or this is the sprite you need in order to be able to go back up. If you hit back to try to swoop up any sooner than this, you will sort of fail your swoop, he'll get stuck in midair, and you won't make this next section. This is the frame you're looking for. Now the good news is that frame holds, so it's not like you're stuck on that frame only. But the way that I can see that in real time, and the way that I would recommend you look for it, is if you'll notice, Mario doesn't really show the top of his head until that frame happens. And so when I am running this, what I am specifically looking for is for Mario's head to turn red. That's when I can see that, oh, I'm ready to do the pullback motion. So that's kind of a good one. I'm glad that this particular indicator exists. So that's what we're looking for. And then yeah, swoop back up. So I will go ahead and do the demo for this one. Let's jump back over to the 3DS. And I want to go back to Course Spot. Oh, I'm already in Course Spot, perfect. And we will do this one. I will jump into it in edit mode as well. So the first thing to see, oh hey DJ Awesome, good to see you. So the first thing to see, I will just play it from the beginning, is that if I just run to the right like I did in my IL, I got lucky there. I was trying to demo the wrong thing. Game please. That feather doesn't always follow the pipe. So there's the example of how it more commonly happens, where you're trying to get the feather but it's just not there in time. So instead, when I'm starting from the beginning in any percent, I will actually run to here and just wait for it. From there, the beginning's pretty straightforward, but here's where like swoopiness comes in. So if I hit swoop too soon, Mario just kind of gets stuck and doesn't gain height, right? We're like, I'm trying to get him to do things, but it's kind of just not working. Whether you want to do this is normal maintaining height is just sort of a back and forth rhythm, and actually you don't need to hit forward. I just do because it helps me keep the rhythm. But I guess to talk through, sorry, I'm like trying to explain everything at once. Let's take a step back. So the first thing is, when you hit jump, Mario will fly up into the air. If you continue to just hold right, he'll go into this dive. When he hits the ground, he'll actually do a ground pound, which is kind of cool, kind of like a PAL block. So if you ever need that, that's, by the way, what you need for 100%, you can do that. But if you pull back when he starts to go down, and again, you only actually have to hit left, you don't have to hold right. I just do, out of habit and for the fact that it helps me keep the rhythm. He'll slowly start to do these like little midair swoops, is what I call them. So back to here, we're going to get another feather, because I lost mine. just sort of these little mid-air swoops. Now if you do sort of even motions, you'll notice I'm staying right in line with these coins. That's how to maintain height. But this level isn't about maintaining height when we're trying to go fast. It's actually about gaining height. So instead of going in an even rhythm, if I go a little bit early, you'll notice that Mario keeps gaining height. Once he stops moving, he can't do that anymore. The problem is if you do that a little too early, you start to miss things. So let's see if I can get a miss on it as well. But that's the timing that you're looking for. It's just sort of early swoops. So running again, here's correct early timing. If it's a little too early, you get this, where Mario will go up, but he won't gain any height. Like that animation means that you are hitting back too soon. So just to do that one more time, you can take off from here. This is sort of the correct timing, where you're gaining height, and then doing this one more time, but losing height. Yay! This is what it looks like. You just get this sort of like twitchy Mario. That means that you didn't actually wait long enough in order to hit the button. So cool, that's this first part. It's about balancing this timing. So you can practice going even, but really for the speedrun you want to gain height. Now the good news is if you miss this, you just land on this platform and then you jump around and you don't lose that much time. But good thing to practice. And then technically in this coin chute, you don't want to hold right away because you want to cut this pipe with some momentum, but again, that doesn't make a huge difference, so don't worry too much about it if that's not happening. For the second part of this level, we do just get to maintain height. If you want to, you can get all the fireworks, because Nintendo was really proud of themselves on this level. You do want to be a little bit high in order to get this twirl off, but that's really the key thing. So in order to get that twirl in midair and drop, I'm hitting the B button for me, which is my attack button or my run button. Whatever button that's mapped to for you is the one you should use. And then again, let's actually say that I lost my feather. I would still go into this last section, and conveniently, even though we showed the top route before, you can just run under this entire last section. None of the other sections work this way. Every other section you do need to complete the flying course. This one you just run to here. And you lose a bit of time because you're off cycle for this gold tape, but realistically it doesn't matter. If you've lost your keep, you've already lost time anyway, so just take the bottom route. But now let's show what happens on the top route again. So this is where we get this really big swoopy section. So if I were to instead have kept my feather, in this case I'll just get the new one from here. I want to be taking off on this right side, and then I want to pretty quickly be going into this dive. Now, if you dive too late, that's what happens. I wanted to show it there, where you bonk off of that pipe. So let's go back and do this again. Yeah, I didn't get enough height. I was trying to see if I could jump from here to there, but I can't. So we'll go back and do the real thing. Whee! So if you swoop too soon or too late, like you can actually bonk into this pipe, and if you do, you will not really have enough momentum to finish. If that happens, just give up, drop down, and finish the level on the bottom round. Let's do the swoops correctly this time though and see if I can pull those off. I wanted to show like the different ways that you can fail and then recover from it. Alright. Full speed jump time! Woo! So again, you want to do a pretty big swoop here, and once you get to this point you can just sort of follow the coin trails. You can barely make it up there if you miss the ending swoop a bit, but that's really all you're doing on here. I'll try it one more time to do it correctly. I apologize. I'm off angle trying to watch my own gameplay so that it's recording correctly, and so I'm definitely missing a little bit. So we'll try this one more time. Go up to here. I usually release a little bit early to make sure I make it with this coin trail, swoop down, swoop up, and then I'll spin in midair so that I land on this section. And if I was doing that at full speed out of the pipe, that would have perfectly hit the gold tape. So, yep, that's the flying level. Flying is so fun, isn't it? Awesome. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, 4.3 is fun. So we're actually going to look at a couple things in 4.3. And that's because one of the tricks that I use in 4.3, or used, got patched out in later versions of the game. So I can no longer use that one, which is sad. Oh, shoot, we are still in epic slow-mo, and I forgot to turn the screen back on. There we go. We're back. Please always, like, someone tell me if I ever am showing the wrong screen, because I'm not used to having to switch screens while I'm in the middle of streaming, so we'll see how this goes. But cool. Here's 4.3. 4.3 is all about propellers. The first thing you want to do, and this is actually where we're going to show two alternate routes. The faster route now is to grab the propeller from the first block, but I'll sort of call different things out as we go. This is another way to do it, is to grab it from this room. The main thing here is going to be managing your propeller spins and like trying to get the route correct. The thing I do here is I actually, yeah, we're just going to kind of watch it through, get used to the route, and then I'll go back and do some slow things, because we're actually also going to watch Polonxy's version of this level. Really quick, why is my phone ringing? No one should be calling me right now. Okay. I can answer it later. Okay, we're gonna go back. Sorry, I was checking because technically I'm on call for work right now and I wanted to make sure like it wasn't a work incident. Okay, so here's this spin. We're gonna get to the top of these Goombas. This one's all about getting these keys going through these doors. So for this room, there's, yeah, just watch this room. This room is one of the rooms that'll be different when, oh no, I actually do it right in the aisle. I don't do this anymore for any percent. Here is unfortunately the trick that you can no longer do. It's a double triple jump where you manage to trick the game into letting you do a double jump immediately after doing a triple jump. But again, I think that's patched out. I was not able to get it in practice yesterday. Not just because I was playing bad, but like I specifically went to my practice level 4 and it wasn't working anymore. There's some spots in this level where it just is faster to damage boost than to wait for dealing with the Goomba stacks. So that's what some of those movements are. And then once you're through that pipe, you're at the end of the level. This ending doesn't really matter, you just get to the flag. But here's where we're actually going to go watch as well Polonxy's version. And that's because we each did slightly different routes on this, and so combining our two routes is actually going to be the fastest way to go. So the first thing that he did faster is the beginning. You do want to jump up and get that particular propeller mushroom. It's a little bit faster than the one I was getting. Here your goal is to cut past those Goombas pretty closely in order to get the key. You can hear Polonxy talking in the background. This room I do slightly faster, and I'll be able to explain why when we get to it. I don't do the wall jump, but I honestly don't think that makes a difference, but I haven't fully timed it. This room, the main thing is getting to this platform in one swoop and then spinning up to that pipe. That's the fastest way to tackle that room. I'm pretty inconsistent at it. Here is the alternate strat now that double triple jumps aren't a thing. I actually can't pull this off yet, so that's the only glimpse we're going to get at it. We'll take a look at it one more time. But basically you jump high through the Goomba stack. You'll take damage here, but as you fall, you're going to land and get the propeller mushroom from this bullet bill launcher, which is going to be perfect for jumping off this ledge and then taking the spin upwards. So unfortunately I can't demo that, but that is the faster strat there, and the backup strat is the one I'll show instead. From there, the routes mostly match. Oh yeah, Polonxy actually gets to triple jump off of the top of those Goombas, which is faster, so let's watch that one more time, because again, that won't be something I can show very effectively. Basically, this middle section here, after spinning down to this platform, he does a single jump, that's the double jump, and then you want to do a short jump to land early on this platform. That will give you the triple. And it's a really tight timing, and you'll see he actually turns back for a second to hesitate. We'll watch this in slow-mo, in fact. He turns back for just like a fraction of a second of hesitation in order to not get to the Goombas too soon. Because if you continue going right, you usually run into them. So that's what that little backwards turn you saw from Mario was. So again, single jump, double jump, triple jump, and then a slight turn back to make sure you hit the top of those Goombas, and that lines you up to then get to this bouncy platform. Now, one of the things that I do in mine a little bit better is that you don't actually have to do a full jump off of that donut in order to make it to the top of the screen. So he does a full jump which lands him pretty high above this platform. You actually want to cut that corner as closely as possible and not have to spin down. Other than that though, the ending of the level again is just sort of whatever. But let's go through that one in demo, because this one's definitely one that it'd be helpful to show screen by screen. Back to course spot. Okay. We are aiming for 4-3, and we're going to go into edit mode for this one as well. Oh, it didn't ask me if I wanted to delete stuff. That's cool. Awesome. So the first thing here is going to be getting this particular, I don't know if the easiest way to point to it is this propeller right here. So it's in this block. I'm going to start the level. You want to jump immediately. So this is one of the few levels where I'll show the beginning. You don't want to hold right and run. You want to instead jump as soon as possible. And your goal is to get around the left side of this block. So I do that with sort of this motion, sort of like a swing. I don't really know how to describe it any better. So jump and then swing, where I jump and then I hold left and then I quickly turn back to the right to get around it. So pretty straightforward there. But if you do that fast, then you'll be able to hit the propeller on its way down. So let me recenter. I think I'm sorry, I keep checking and looking over to make sure that you can see my inputs on screen. I know this isn't like the best lighting for it, but I promise I did try to set this up. Cool. So first thing to do is to get this propeller, jump around, and then you can jump up into it. If you're going fast, you can just jump forward and continue your momentum, but I usually end up doing what you saw, that little turnaround, to make sure I grabbed it before I moved on. So we'll show that one more time. And then I just do a bunch of jumps on the mushroom platforms in order to make it up. Nothing too complicated there. Like, getting this mushroom quickly is like one of the few things that's pretty tricky. So then from here, just sort of jump up, and once again, you can just hold up as you approach the door. From here, you want to cut things pretty closely with that Goomba stack, and then when you get up to here, you're actually going to be spinning, so you're going to want to spin down into this key. So let's do that again. Now, just so that you don't have to see me get this propeller suit every single time. We're going to go ahead and just give Mario a propeller suit. I love that you can do that in Editor. So now just every time we reset, we're going to have one. So let's go back to this door. And again, when you're playing, and just hold up as soon as you get close to doors and you'll be fine. Your goal is to cut underneath these Goombas and then spin down. So you can also not do the jump and you'll make this platform, I believe. So a couple different options there. As soon as you grab the key, you spin up, and then again, if you do this fast enough, you'll actually be able to spin down. But it's a little bit tricky. So you want to spin down because you want to be on the ground as soon as possible to get to this door. Now this is a great time to talk about some propeller mechanics. The most important one being, let me get rid of these Goombas because they're in my way. There we go. You get a 1-up if you get all those, by the way. That's the trick for 100%. The key thing here is that if you press the spin jump button, you will spin upwards. But as you are falling, you fall really slowly. Like, you fall definitely slower than Mario's running speed. So the key with the propeller suit and speed tech is you want to avoid this, like, twirly fall thing. This you don't want to see very much of. So instead, if you press down like you're doing a ground pound, Mario will drill down toward the ground. So he's floating, I hit down, he drills downward. The trick is, while he's drilling downward, he cannot move left or right. He's, like, actually stuck. So I can try to hold right or left, but it won't work. Even if I was moving to the side, like, it just, no more momentum. So really your goal is going to be for any of these jumps to be as close to those ledges as possible without actually hitting them. So like, if I jump sooner, I'm closer to this ledge, that can actually be a faster speed tech move. Alright, cool. But this room, pretty straightforward after that. This next one, I do a small jump because I want to, again, land close to that edge. So that was too small of a jump. But if I do just a reasonably small one, you'll notice I didn't have to spin down. If I do a full jump here, I'll have to twirl a whole bunch. I might miss this platform if I'm not careful, so that's why I do a small jump and this, and that lets me sort of run to finish this platform. So, small jump, and then I can hold right. I jump off of the right side. Oh, I'm gonna lose my propeller. Can I reset? No, this game doesn't like letting you reset these rooms. Propeller, come back. Actually, I should show you what to do if you miss your propeller and it's not this. Can I get back up? Top propeller? Yep, okay. From here you would do a twirl, and what you want to do is you want to land as close to the top of these Goombas as possible, and you want to twirl down pretty soon after that. Then for me, I just jump off to the right. Polonxy does this wall jump. If you had lost your propeller here, you can either wait here for one, because that pipe will give them to you, or you can actually, like this, or with some good speed, you can actually make that jump. So let's edit to reset this room so I can show it to you one more time. We're going to go through from here. Okay, so there it is with the spin down. I'm going to be holding right as soon as I land in this room, and then pretty quickly switch back to left, and then jump off of that platform. Or actually, sorry, I'm not jumping off of that platform. Let's do this one more time. I'm not jumping here, I'm waiting and then spinning up. I think it's optimally fastest, but I still need to do some additional timing to slightly fall off of that platform. So you'll notice that the new tech I have is fall a little bit. That was too soon. Fall a little bit, and then do the spin. And I'll show that one more time with the reset, because this strategy really only makes sense in the context of being able to see the key door happen. So here's this. Get the key, go back through the door. I'm going to try this room one more time. So here we go, I'm holding right, doing my small jump, and then I'm running off the ledge, and that leaves me closer to those Goombas. So if I were to, like, jump off of this ledge, that would put me really high in the room, and it would take longer to spin down to the Goombas. That's why I either want to not jump at all or run off that ledge in order to make this spin down happen. From here, oh, actually I need to demo the real way to do this. Again, backup wise, you can get to this door without the propeller. What you do is you want to spin as soon as you're at the bottom of these one-ways. And the reason is you can't actually get to that door as soon as possible until you start spinning. Like, you want to be spinning because you want Mario to be moving to the right as much as possible. So stop here, do your spin, and then you can get to this door. Now, the reason is you can't actually do a downward thing. So if I twirl here, you can see that I can do the spin from wherever, right? I can, or do my drill, sorry. If I'm here, I can do the drill from the ceiling, no problem. If I'm here, though, I can't actually drill down. Like, I'm trying to press down, and it's just not doing anything. And the reason is because this has the same rules as Mario's ground pound. So I can't actually ground pound in this gap either unless I, like, really am impressive. I can ground pound from here. But if you look at this platform here, basically I can ground pound as long as I'm higher up than one block. As soon as I get within one block, I lose the ability to ground pound. So the same applies for spins, actually, where unless you are at least one block, I'll do it from here just to demonstrate the same thing. I can spin from here, I can spin down from there. Oh, I was a little bit too late, so you saw the edge of it there. Spin down from there, but I cannot spin down once Mario is within one tile of the ground. Like you saw that I tried to hit down there and it just didn't do anything. That's why you can't spin down in this particular door gap. Like it just doesn't work. So instead, you want your spin to run out as soon as possible so you can enter this door as quickly as possible. That's why your main goal when leaving this area and getting toward the door is to spin as soon as possible after those one-way gates, and it doesn't really matter how quickly you go to the left. So let's say I got the key here, I jump around, start spinning, and then I just want to hold up so that as soon as I finish falling, I get to that spot. Cool, let's go back one more time, and this time I'm gonna lose my power-up to try to show how that looks. So we're in this room. Hi, this room. This is everyone's best friend room right now. I do this, but let's say that I messed it up. Let's say that I messed it up. And I ran into the Goombas instead. Totally. Please. There we go. Ah, okay. We're all good to go. If you start from here, it is possible to make this jump. That's just the only thing I wanted to say for that. All that setup is like you can start from halfway through the one-ups to get enough speed, or one way is to get enough speed to land on this corner with a twirl. Because if you lose your mushroom there, it's a little bit faster to go and get it back from this particular pipe, or this particular bullet bill launcher, than it is anything else. So this would be the backup strat for this room, where you get it from there and then you buzz through. But let's show the real route for this room. So jumping back the screen again. Whee! You can also see how this level's constructed. It's kind of cool. So we're going to get this key and actually do the real route for this room this time. Now here's where I'm actually just going to show you the backup route. You don't want to be holding right, and then you twirl to the right, and then, okay, yeah, I can't explain that and talk at the same time. Hopefully you saw some of that. Let's toss the Marios back up on screen. Marios, there we go. So when you enter this room, this is one of the few rooms where you don't want to be holding right, because Mario will slide off of this wall and it will slow him down a little bit. So you want to be neutral heading into this room. Once you've cleared this right side, that's when you'll want to start holding right. I jump from about there, and again, if you saw the IL, you can actually make it up to this ledge in one spin, and that's the fastest thing to do. I am obnoxiously terrible at doing that in a real run, and so I lose a ton of time if I try to do that, because if you miss this, a lot of times you'll get hit by this crusher, which is not what you want to have happen. So instead what I do is I jump, and I then twirl down and land on top of this crusher. Like, these solid blocks on the sides of crushers aren't damaging, so I'll twirl down and land here, and then jump again and do a twirl from there. So you can see I landed here, and then I jumped up again and twirled, and ideally you go into this pipe. So now I'm going to try doing it for real without slowing down, and we'll see if I can make that happen. So again, the fastest route is what you would see from the ILs. This is just my backup route. So neutral going into this room, then hold right, I turn back to the left a little bit, go down, and then back up and around into this pipe. I'm holding up in order to make that pipe happen. Cool. Oh, I feel like I need to take deep breaths every single room in this level. This level's just got so much going on compared to the other ones. From here, this is where I used to do the double triple jump. I now just sort of do a really slow spin pattern and run through these Goombas in order to get this propeller. Again, Polonxy's got the faster strat here, so please watch his. You cannot get to the top from this cloud platform, unfortunately, so you either need to jump from this bullet bill launcher or from the corner here in order to make this next section. And then once again, this is where Polonxy strats were faster than mine, where he does do like a triple jump here, that something like that. Oh hey, I actually got it. Well, I almost never get that. So that's what you're aiming to do. And then you can get to this and jump from there. In general, with this last donut block, again, you can make the jump without doing the full jump height. So you'll notice that, or with donut blocks, if you didn't know this, if you're not holding A, you jump low. And if you're holding A, you jump a lot higher. The safest thing to do is to do a high jump and spin, because then you definitely clear that platform. But if you're really trying to optimize things, you actually don't need to. You can jump at the end or the top of a low jump, and you'll make this ledge and cut it a lot closer, so you don't have to worry about the drill down or the spin down slowness. From there, if you're doing this at full speed, you just run over that one tile gap that for some reason exists into this final pipe, and that's basically the end of the level. You can do whatever you want here. I usually spin into the flag because it's fun, but again, please don't get a 1-up. That's if you take nothing else away from today, it's don't get the 1-ups at the flagpole. But yeah, that's 4-3. There's a lot to talk about in 4-3, so I'm glad that we went through that. But let's move on. We're going to go on now to 4-4. So I'll stop my 3DS screen. We'll go back into YouTube. I believe we're here on my playlist. Yes. Okay. 4-4. 4-4 is the level that's all about twirling, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. There's only about one jump that you kind of need to worry about. So for this first one, my cue is... Let me slow it down again. My cue is going to be... Hold for the load screen. I recorded these on my older physical copies. That's why the load screens are so awful. I do a twirl jump when Mario lines up with where this pillar is when you start, which is about this line here. This pillar, because its background moves as you play the level, so it doesn't, you don't actually want to jump when it lines up there for realsies, but like that's my cue for when I do a full spin jump to land cleanly on this pipe. So there's the jump. Land on the pipe, go in the pipe. Most of this is just pretty straightforward jumping. You can kind of do whatever, like follow the coins, and the level works out great. Yeah, just jumping, twirling. I'm not going to narrate every single action this time around, but I will talk about one of the ones coming up. So here's the tricky section. Gonna let it play out. Cool. And the key thing to note here is that that was a 280 pipe entry. That is the fastest known possible pipe entry. Most of the time when you're doing any percent, you're going to get a 279. It's because you're intentionally going to do something slower than what I showed here. So the key with this section of jumps, I will slow this one down just so I have more time to talk over it. We'll do 25 this time. Wait, is the background always the same? Yeah, you can use the background for cues on things in a lot of levels actually. So the first thing with this is just the setup, but this jump here you want to jump from this last donut block and do the twirl because you want to land on the left edge of this block. And the reason is, if you land too far to the right, you're going to bonk when you try to go through this passageway. So land on the left and jump right away, and that's how you'll get through this without bonking Mario into that little tiny corner right there. Awesome. From here, you want to land, I jump from this spot, you want to land as close to the left edge of this platform as possible because you want this to trigger as soon as possible. So the more you land on the left, the sooner you've likely triggered it, assuming you were going full speed. Now, again, for any percent, you may just want to take this a bit safer because you don't want to miss this platform and have to go back around in like this loop-de-loop here. That's not very fast. So feel free to take this safely. I think most people do. But if you want to optimize it, you're aiming for that little left side edge. So that's about where I should land. You'll notice I'm landing with one foot on that ledge in the IL version of this. In a real run, I usually land closer to the center. Now, while you're waiting for this to fall, you can definitely just wait there. You do not have to do what I did here. But the only way to get a 280 on the pipe is to have some rightward momentum as soon as possible going through this gap. So the safe way to do this is just to wait on the right side of the screen and just be holding right the whole time. But if you want to do this quickly, you either do a jump loop-de-loop or you run back and run forward. So you'll notice that I have some running speed clearing that gap. Now, the dangerous thing with doing that is you don't want to fall off the left side of the screen. So that's why I usually don't go for this too hardcore when you're doing a real run. But from there, it's just a jump and then a get in the pipe. Main thing is this is a vertical pipe, which always is frustrating. So you can miss this a couple times, like it's okay. That's just sort of how vertical pipe entries work, unfortunately. They're really picky about, you need to have upward momentum and be in the center of the pipe, and because you start to get downward momentum as soon as you bonk off of the corner of a pipe, that's why vertical pipes are just a little bit obnoxious. So there we go. We get into the pipe, go through. You can wall jump off the left side of the screen there, but you don't have to. I don't think it's actually faster when I've timed it. Generally, it's only faster to do a wall jump to start a section when the pipe is horizontal, but you can do that. It's not like it loses time either. From here, just follow the coins once again, a couple more twirls to prove that you know how twirls work. They will never cause you problems as long as you follow the coins, so you're good to go, and you will land on the axe. Again, you don't actually have to get a perfect pipe entry in order to get this 273 for the IL or for any percent, but just kind of nice. So let's take a look at that section one more time at full speed. So again, I tried to build up a little bit of extra momentum, but there we go. The score, almost. Was it at a fun number? Let's take a look at that section on the actual 3DS though. Core spot, tea time. Okay, we're gonna go into edit because I really don't need to show the beginning of this. We'll go into the subworld. So yeah, most of this is pretty straightforward. It's really just this one section that I'll want to show. So let's start from here to show that part off. Am I on screen? I'm on screen. Okay. So here, whatever jumps you want. Here, that's what happens if you don't do that quite right. You saw I got the little bonk there. And then honestly, for any percent, you can just do this. Like, that was different than what I did before, but let me show that one more time. So if you do miss that, here's the way to get back up, is to go through this little section here. But I actually jump and twirl to make sure I land on this, and then I'm just holding right, and then I jump off. Like, That's definitely slower than doing the like super optimized jump around, build up momentum and speed strat, but it's way safer. So if I was trying to be super precise, I would do something like this, and that's, I jumped late, that wasn't even the right type of mistake, and you can do that in your run. A lot of times I'll go for it because I feel like being fancy. Right, where I'm building up some of that speed, apparently I can't do it, and trying to run through, but you don't have to do that. So again, safety strats, just even twirl here to make sure you land on it, hold right, and then just jump once you're comfortable with it. That's all you need to do. So nothing too wild there. And then with this pipe, I usually start to hold up and left at the same time. So I'll go through this again to show that one more time. And it's because you can hit pipes running at full speed while just holding right. But it's a little, I find it's more consistent if I turn and hold up left because it sort of straightens out Mario's trajectory. So he's more going in that upward direction. So that's kind of how I do pipe entries, is like that, up left. And then yeah, if you want to, you can do a wall jump. I don't think it's faster, at least when I timed it, but I'm also not the best wall jumper, so could be faster and I'm just slow. But there you go, there's 4-4. So that's World 4 down. World 4 is like a couple of pretty straightforward levels, and then 4-3 is just an absolute mess, and you better know how the cape works. So quite a bit of variety. That's when the game really starts to warm up and go like, all right, but do you know how to do this? So yeah, World 4 down. Congrats everyone if you've managed to follow me so far. On to World 5.